Yeah. And call to order the Tuesday, May 18th, 2021 council meeting. We have invocation by the mayor and the pledge.
Follow me. Lord, thank you once again for a wonderful day. Thank you for the city council for giving them the wisdom to guide our city into the future. We thank you for our staff. We thank you for all of our first responders. We ask that you watch over them. We ask that you watch over the city and keep us like we are, a good-natured, friendly city. We ask that all we do in your name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next is a roll call.
Mayor Shute.
Here.
Carlisle.
Yes.
Bettman.
Present.
Lowrance.
Here.
Stewart's absent. And Ivy.
Here. At this time, I'll make the announcement if anyone in the audience would like to speak on any topic, come up and fill out a speaker's request with the acting clerk, and we'll get you on. We'll get you up here. Mayor's report.
Tonight I'm bringing to you the contract with Pro Display Company, a Sebring company, for our 4th of July fireworks. Last year, we had the same contract as presented was $20,000. This year's $22,000, but we're fortunate last year to have a much bigger show because the year before they got cut short. So they just added those shells to that. If we wanted the same show as last year, the contract would be $23,500. But what I'm proposing is that I'm asking you to consider this, approving this proposal. And if we raise sufficient funds, is that we will ask Pro Display to add shells to this. So, but at this time, I'd like to have at least this solid so we can go ahead and proceed.
I'd like to make a motion that we allow the mayor to go ahead and proceed with the contract.
Second?
All right, we have a motion and a second. Ms. Clerk?
Carlisle.
Yes.
Bettman.
Yes.
Lowrance.
Yes.
Ivy.
Yes.
Thank you. That's all I have today.
Okay. Councilman's concerns, comments, and liaison reports. I'll start with Councilman Detman. You have anything?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay.
No, sir.
All right, man.
No, sir.
Well, I got a couple of things, so I didn't want it to bolo out there. First of all, I'd like to commend the fire department and the police department for their bicycle rodeo. Real well organized. I know the kids had fun. I think they had fun, but it really went well. I was real impressed with what you guys did. You did a good job. You need to be commended for that. I also watched a clip on the TV from our Sea-Doo event on CBS 1, whatever. I taped it, but they showed the Sebring area, Lake Jackson. They did very well with how they presented it. It was short, but it was something there, and everybody talked well about it, so that was good. And the last thing, I attended the National Day of Prayer. I have to commend the clerk, the county clerk. I'm going to say his name, I think, Kazabowski.
Good.
Yeah, he not bad, right? I'm from Miami, you know. But at any rate, I think it was well organized, well executed, and the pastors that they had there and the bishop gave real good messages, and I thought it was well done, very well done. But that's what I have for comments. We'll move on now, if no one else, to the consent agenda.
I make a motion, we accept the consent agenda with change to 8B for the council meeting to be at 5:30, not 6.
Okay, Scribner thing. Do I have a second?
Second.
Do we have?
Second.
Okay, I didn't hear that. I was coughing. All right, we have a motion and a second. Ms. Clerk, will you?
Carlisle.
Yes.
Bettman.
Yes.
Lowrance.
Yes.
Ivy.
Yes. Next item is old business. I see none on the agenda. looking across. I don't see any coming from the audience. So we'll move on to new business. Density and comprehensive plan changes. Mr. Lydell, CRA.
Good evening, David Liddell, Sebring CRA Chair. The CRA is wanting to approach council for conceptual approval of a change to the city's comprehensive plan to address the need for an increase in the density of a segment of the core downtown, downtown district.
Okay. That's it, huh?
That's it.
Ta-da. Okay, all right. Very, very well. There's no motion needed, it's just for discussion and letting us know what's the possibility. Commend you for finding someone to come in so quickly and develop that. I will say, one concern, and you probably couldn't get out of here without that, right? Is the parking, being careful with the parking. They increase the units to 50. I know that when you bring in that parking, you may bring in some on-street parking. Be careful, because the business people there, they use that for their customers as well, so just be mindful. It's easy for me to say that, but you gotta carry it through. Okay, anyone else?
Yeah, I have a few concerns about this, and in general, I want to just say that I support the CRA and what you guys are doing. I think you're making a great effort about getting the right businesses into the circle and other places. But on this particular one, I think this might just be a bridge too far here. And I'm going to bring up a couple points that concern me about it. The first one is that there's 50 apartments there, and that's going to be a density that's literally about 3 to 4 times more dense than what we allow right now per acre. So that's 50 apartments plus retail and plus a gym and a few other things. So that concerns me. There's only 32 parking places for 50 apartments. Now, I know the intention is to lease the city's parking lot behind that area, and I'm not sure exactly how many parking places are in that city lot, but there's been so much problems and so many complaints about parking for the city, and for us to give up our city parking lot to what in essence is a private development here, I've got a problem with that. And the 32 underground parking places, it's just not enough for 50 apartments. Now, I know these apartments are small, and so it may only be one person living in a lot of them, but it's going to be 2 people living in a lot of them too. There's going to be some couples living in them. Some of them are 2 bedrooms, and so it's probably a couple and maybe even a child or 2. So I think we're going to, take back our parking problem that we've now expanded on, which we've got, that parking lot behind the old Nancessoy, visible again, so people aren't so afraid to park there. But, to turn around, and I believe these guys are going to want to lease that parking lot out for their private use. And so we lose a bunch of parking places again. In addition to those 2 things, it's also going above what we've tried to keep as the limit of the high-rises around here. And it's going to be 60 feet to the top of the penthouse. And right now, our ordinance says 50 feet. And it's going to be in amongst 2-story buildings. It's not even out by the lake like we have a couple buildings out there that are, well, one of them is a big high-rise, Fountainhead. The other one, though, the Majestic, we kept them at 50 feet. But to put up a 60-foot building right in the middle of North Ridgewood, it's just going to dominate that whole street. And so, for those couple reasons, I got to say that I would rather see some kind of a modified plan that might take some consideration into that.
Well, we're not approving the construction design of the proposal that we're going to be recommending tonight. We're just trying to get the density issue resolved, because nobody can seem to make the numbers work if we don't change that. So it'll just be a grass lot.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say that I'm not totally against a grass lot there, because we need some areas for events and whatnot. But or at some point, somebody can come in there and put a 2-story building up there that is more along the lines of what's on that street now, or even a 3-story or 4-story I could go with, but going all the way up to 6, That's just pretty tough. Now, I love their plan. I would love to see them do that, maybe over on Lakeview somewhere or something like that, by the Majestic or somewhere in that thing, because I think it's really cool. You know, they're talking about a tiki bar up on the top floor and a swimming pool up there, and I think that's great. But I'm just not sure it needs to be right there in the middle of town and on the old man Sesame's property, so that's just, that's my opinion.
Any other comments?
I totally disagree. I like the idea. I think we need some improvement downtown. I do agree with the parking issue, though. I know we have that already, but we're trying to make downtown grow. That's what we're trying to do. So I'm excited about it. So, and Charlie has some good thoughts.
I think, yeah, I have to agree with kind of Leonard and Charlie from a point that I think I believe the way that our downtown continues to exist is by having people, a walkability portion, that you have people that do live downtown. I think it makes a more vibrant downtown. I think it'll bring additional businesses here. You know, the apartment concept is, we're not approving the site plan, we're not approving anything, we're approving density, I think, so they can move ahead to maybe present something. Our code is still coming into play on height. They're not asking to change that at this point in time. I agree with the parking. I think that's gonna be some kind of a concern in how we do this, but I really think a project like this, be it 3 stories, 4 stories, you know, or whatever fits within our code and dimensions, I think it's just a good thing for downtown to have people being downtown, being active. I think it's really gonna help, you know, just the retail side of it, to have those people down there. So it's kind of you know, it's a mixed feeling as far as how far does it go. You know, if you're gonna put another 10-story building, I wouldn't agree with that at all, you know. And 6 stories is a big building. But if there's something that can move, but you still need to get some density changes in that. And it still has to be approved for everything else that has to go on. I think that the biggest thing, I think, too, is a more or less of a, how do you control this? You know, to keep it like it is and not have 10-story buildings all over downtown. You know, I think that's the other issue that we have to look at is how far does this go? But I really think the concept, the design is right. I think it'd benefit downtown, so.
I can increase your parking across the street if you want.
May have to.
You know, and that
That
may
might be a location
alternative.
across the
Yeah,
street, tear
yeah.
down that building, tear down
Yeah,
tear
or-
down the bank building and offer that to them. It might be
But
even a better.
There's people that like to live downtown. I actually lived downtown for a while, and I liked it because you could get up and, you know, in the afternoons you could walk downtown, or you could, and it would be nice to have a restaurant you could walk to, stuff like that. So I think there's people that will go to that. I really do.
They think they'll have it filled before they get it finished being built.
Really.
From what I understand too, most of the apartments, upstairs apartments on the buildings downtown are full. So
Yes.
talking to the.
Yeah, it's neat to live downtown. I mean, you know,
Yeah,
you
you
get
gotta
up Saturday
surf
morning, walk to
downtown.
D's or
Never lived
whatever,
outside.
you know, for breakfast. It was a good thing. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, I'm all in favor of people living downtown, don't get me wrong on this. But, you know, as far as, you know, again, the parking places concerns me, and the height of the building concerns me. Those are the 2 biggest concerns I have. And maybe, you know, maybe it is an idea, across the street parking. You know, maybe we could trade you guys our back parking lot for that parking lot. If we decide not to do anything with the bank building. But, you know, again, 50 apartments and 32 parking places is tough.
You're pretty much just asking for
I'm
a
just talking
consensus to
density.
move forward, right?
Yeah, I'm not talking about the.
When do you come back for approval?
Do you think, David, that there's any chance that they would scale back on this in any regard?
There's
So-
no way nobody can make the numbers work if you go below that.
So in essence though, and that's why I don't wanna mislead you as far as what my feeling goes here. In essence, it's kind of for us to, they don't wanna modify what they've got here. They can't make their numbers work. So are we gonna, are we gonna say, okay, it's okay for the 60 feet building? Is it okay for the 50 units?
Would you consider another site downtown? Would they do that if theoretically, this is, of course, this is CRA business, but get rid of the bank since nobody's jumping on that with any enthusiasm, so.
Okay. I mean, we're giving them the property to build this on,
Give them the bank building.
they didn't even ask about the bank building,
Yeah.
not even for future use or anything like that. So-
They were responding to an RFP,
Yeah.
though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they've been here, they've looked at it, we've had conversations with them. They know we own it.
What's the difference?
Right.
You're talking about across the street.
Yeah. I mean, if
Basically, what's the
this
difference?
thing.
The parking would be one big
Yeah,
difference.
they'd have more parking, but if this is an all or none principle here, you gotta do it or we're not doing it, because the numbers don't, to make it, then we gotta think about something there.
Well, they're not, I mean, we can come back and address issues like parking and stuff like that. That's not part necessarily of this. We're concerned about the density on the piece of property for the number of units that they want to be able to build.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm just gonna say, I think it's a little bit of a bridge too far with the density that they're asking for in consideration of the height of the building, but that's just me, I'm only one pope here.
Let me address,
Okay.
let me address the height of the building. I think we can get there in our current code, because we do have an allowance in our code that allows you to go up to 100 feet. I don't recollect where it is specifically in the code, but I do remember coming across the ability under plan development to get to that 100 feet. It may be within the CRA district, but I can't recall right offhand. But there is a provision in our code that allows you to get to that 100 feet. Now, you're not looking to do 100 feet with this structure, but.
Right.
But it allows structures up to 100 feet. And that probably came about because maybe the Fountainhead, is the Fountainhead about 100 feet? Bobby?
Yeah. But everybody else I thought everybody else was limited to 50.
Yeah, I believe there is a section within our downtown that you're allowed to get to 100 feet. And I recollect finding that in the code somewhere in researching this, so. You can go above the 50 feet, it just, it is specific to, I wanna say this area, and I just can't recall whether it's the CRA area but there's some type of overlay district that allows you to get
To that.
to a higher, height.
Okay.
Um,
Well, then my
through a
question would be to my fellow council members and the public, if anybody wants to weigh in on this, do you want a 60-foot building there?
I personally support this comprehensive plan and increase the density, and I don't see a downside to that other than the parking, which I think is something that we can certainly work on. I think this is a step in the right direction to revitalize downtown. We're not the only cities that are embracing this thought and idea. Actually, it's one of the prime models out there to rejuvenate downtown areas, is to bring people, residential units downtown. So the more residential units we can bring within reason, I fully support that.
I support it.
It's, and to get back to the height requirement, it's in our, land use element. So in our land use element, you can get to 100 feet when approved by the city council as part of a PUD in conjunction with an approved development agreement.
Okay.
Also, projects like this tend to become sort of contagious, if you will. And if this is the first step in the right direction, we might just see that, and you never know, that bank itself might become another residential unit downtown. And the more I think we can encourage that and make it easier for them to do that, I think the better off we'll be in the long run.
Amen.
Any other comments? Any comments from the audience on this? If not, Dave, you're off the hook, man.
Thanks, David.
All right, our next item is business from the audience. Okay, we only take one at a time. Okay, then we'll move on. New business, excuse me, city attorney's business. We have the distinguished senior Swain here today.
And what is my business?
You don't have any.
Don't tell
You
me.
don't have it.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, so you're off the hook too.
That's what I thought.
You just don't want to pontificate on something or anything? Okay.
I've already done that.
All right, good. Then we'll move on. City administrator. It's been
Evening,
another
council.
2 weeks.
Agenda item 13A is a modification to a CDBG
Yeah.
grant, neighborhood grant that we were awarded back in 2019. This is 3 additional change orders. The original bid award came in at $579,380. That grant provided for $750,000, so we weren't using the full grant, if you will. We were able to get approval for change orders 1, 2, and 3 from DEO. That would take the project cost to $759,357. Obviously, $750,000 of that's reimbursable. The city will have to contribute $9,357.
Any comments, council? Have a motion? Good. Didn't ask for it, but you want a motion
Yeah.
to approve it?
Yes, sir.
Oh, there it is, requested. I was looking
I
at
make a
council
motion
action.
that we approve attachment 1, modification 1, attachment 2, the budget between the Department of Economy, Opportunity, City of Sebring, and attachment, that would be 1. 2 is the budget amendment 84, and attachment 3, change orders 1, 2, and 3 for excavation point.
Have a second?
I'll second.
All right, have a motion, a second. Clerk?
Who's second?
And just for everybody's information, this is maybe public, this is for additional work.
Oh,
It's not
yeah.
change orders.
Yeah, I should ask for public
Change order
comment.
from a
Yeah.
contractor, they are change
didn't
orders
know
from a
that.
contractor, but it's for additional work to the project.
Okay. And I should overlook giving an opportunity for anyone in the audience that'd like to make a comment on this. Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Carlisle?
Yes.
Pittman?
Yes.
Korea?
Yes.
Ivy?
Yes. Okay, fire assessment rate. Next item on the agenda.
Agenda item 13B addresses fire assessment rates for fiscal year 21-22. It's that time of year again where you all preliminarily set the fire assessment rate. Our current rate is 19.7%. It was 19.7% last year. You all kept that same rate, if you'll recall. The current rate and maximum allowed rates are shown in the GSG correspondence in attachment 1. And then if you'll go to attachment 2, that will show you what the projected revenue and the corresponding rates would be at 19.7% all the way through 25%. You'll notice that with our recent annexations that the estimated revenue has gone up to $614,000 approximately from $554,000 at the 19.7% rate. And staff is looking for guidance at what the rate you would like to adopt this year.
Okay, any comment from the council?
Uh,
Thoughts?
Yeah, I would have a question. As far as the county goes, do you have any idea what their residential rate is?
Bobby, can you come up and address that? Thank you.
These are 18 numbers, and I believe they've increased 7% every year since 18. Yeah, I'm probably gonna misspeak. It says 115 is the cap for residential, and I think it's right around that mark, 115, 120. I don't know if that number increased.
Yeah, I thought it was like 120 or 125.
Well, then maybe that 115 increased by 7%.
I think they changed it, cap and everything, so.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure on this. I just got this information, so.
Okay. One other clarification, when it's like at the 19.7%, is that 19.7% of the fire department's budget? Okay,
I
so,
believe so. That's accurate, correct?
Yeah, when the study was performed, not necessarily,
anymore.
right.
Okay.
That's the revenue that it would, that 19.7 of the, of what,
They need.
yeah, when the study would, yeah. when the study was performed.
Well, I have a couple comments in regards to it, and I'm just gonna say that, first of all, we did not increase this last year because of COVID. And normally we increase it 1 or 2 steps, and we're trying to move towards that 25%. If we had have increased it to 2 times last year, and twice again this year, we would be at the 25%. And even at the 25%, I wanna say that our residential rate would be $101 per house, per residence. And that's even way cheaper than the county is, even if we went all the way to the
I believe
25%.
it's also cheaper than the city of Avon Park, too.
Beg your pardon?
I believe it's cheaper than the city of Avon Park, too.
Yeah, and then, so even if we went up to the 25%, I think that's a reasonable thing to do. But one of the other things that concerns me on the backside of that is that some of our citizens, I guess, that use our services the most, are in a nonprofit state, which means they don't pay any ad valorem taxes. And I'm thinking of nursing homes in particular. And this would move their rate up just a little higher to where they would pay a little bit more of a fair share for the fire services that they receive, and probably use way more than a lot of the other places do. So I would be in favor for moving maybe even all the way to the 25%, but certainly we need to move this up.
Any comments?
Well, I agree with Charlie. We need to look at this because, when you raise ad valorem taxes, everybody don't get that. This fire assessment, everybody, it's on everybody's home and everybody's property. So everybody gets, like Charlie said, everybody gets to pay their fair share. Now, I have to say, I don't like taxes. You know, I'm an American, I hate taxes, but if we don't take care of our fire department, if our house, something happens to our home, then there's nobody there to take care of it. So,
Well, looking at it, going to the 25% is $21 a year. I don't know, divide that by 12 months, it's de minimis almost, I think, for individuals. Then you get down to commercial, what's it, 4 cents a square foot on a commercial? I'm using that correctly, square footage, okay. Industrial warehouse is 1 cent a square foot.
which don't change any.
Yeah, it's all the same.
That change of commercial's 30% change, though.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at what a commercial pays too,
Mhm.
it's a pretty big chunk, and if you're
It
gonna
is.
increase this tax, are you gonna give them a break on the ad valorem tax?
Yeah.
Since you're distributing the tax in a different situation. Just a question.
All right.
Worth looking at.
Well, we're sitting here
Yeah,
quiet,
yeah.
so.
Just a thought from my perspective, you know, and it's just my opinion, but I would like to see y'all do something along the lines of, when we have to buy capital items, fire trucks, they're expensive. I would really like, borrowing from the cemetery association like we did, I think worked out pretty well. Maybe we could earmark some of that fire assessment money if you raised it above kind of a frozen amount. I don't know if you wanna create a frozen amount and earmark that towards either paying back loans or a savings account for those capital items when we need it. Because we're gonna need another fire engine in the next couple of years to the tune of probably 600,000. We're gonna need another aerial truck in
Over $1 million.
probably about 5 or 6 years, and probably about $1.5 million, if not two by then.
Right.
You know, so they're coming to you with those
Make a motion.
big
All right,
items.
Charlie, you making a motion?
Make
I'll make a
Charlie.
motion. I'll make a motion that we raise it to the 25% level.
Have a second? I'll second it for discussion. Any further discussion from the council? How about the audience? Anyone in the audience? Hearing none, Ms. Clark.
Don't you have to pass the gavel if you're gonna?
Oh, that's
Wanna
right.
second it?
If I second it,
Unless you got a second on here.
he made the motion. I can't make a motion.
Right,
No,
you made the mo.
you can't
Charlie
I
second
made
can't
the
second it
motion.
either. guys.
I'll second it, that way you don't even have to
Well,
pass
thank
it.
you. Finally. Get a little help up here.
Well, I wanted to see you sweat.
That I'm doing. All right.
So we have a motion and a
And
second.
second, you ready?
The second is
Second
Is Leonard?
the late arrival. Okay.
All right, Carlisle,
Yes.
Detman.
Yes.
Lawrence.
Yes.
Ivy.
Yes.
Thank you, Bobby.
You're on.
And I present the city of